In this lesson, we're going to go ahead and start building the undercarriage portion of our car. But what we need to do is go ahead and duplicate our seatbelt meshes and place them for the final there. And as you can see, I'm simply deleted the back portion of the seatbelts, and that was because those ones aren't necessarily going to fit the style for the car that I'm actually going for. And so I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate the one and basically place these in the back and use those, and that should, be fine for us. I honestly thought I was just going to go a different way with the seatbelts, and that's okay. So I just, had to delete them a little bit, and I mean, there's really no big deal on that one. And you can see here, I'm just simply placing these in the back here, and just need to make sure it's going to be placed properly. This will just take a little bit of editing. And there you can see that we have them placed properly, and now we just need to go ahead and basically start modeling the undercarriage portion of our car. Let me go ahead and scale the seat down here just a little bit. And now we can go ahead and basically start modeling the undercarriage portion of our car, which this is just going to take a little bit of time, and I'm only going to do one side, and then I'll just simply duplicate it over to the other side here. And I mean, this is, fairly straightforward, and this is basically going to be where how our wheel wells, or the inside portion of our wheel wells, are attached to the car here. And this just, is just basically going to take a decent amount of editing, and, just simply vertex placement and modification so that we can get them to be placed properly. And initially there you can see that I draw a polygon line, or a polygon edge in the middle there, just to basically separate it. And here I'm keeping and trying to be mindful of how I'm going to go ahead and basically cut these wheel wells in. And so the edge placement here is, fairly important in terms of what I exactly want to do here. And I'm basically, sort of outlining the wheel is, a good way and a general way of describing what I'm doing there. And basically do the same thing on the front here. So whenever I go to cut out the wheel well portion, or the inside portion of the wheel well, it's going to be much easier rather than, being somewhat of a headache. I'm just being careful on how I go ahead and place those edges and trying to get them placed properly. I'm just trying to line up everything right. Same with the outside portion of the undercarriage of the car here. Just have to make sure everything, lines up correctly. And you can see I'm just duplicating an edge there so I can make it easier to actually make our interior portion of the wheel well. I'll do the same here for the, and I'll be doing the same for the front too. Just so that I can extrude along the curve and get the exact shape of the interior portion of the wheel well. And this just takes a little bit of editing to, basically get everything to be lined up and, fit properly and, basically blocked out correctly. It'll just take a little bit of editing in terms of how we need to go ahead and close everything off correctly. And I'm just lining these verts up here to make sure that I'm gonna, extrude properly here. This just takes a little bit of time. And you can see that I just basically extrude a long curve there so that, it maintains the shape of the car. And that way it'll be easier for us to basically match the wheel well perfectly to the outlying geometry of the actual car mesh, or the car body mesh. And that way it'll be, much easier for us to basically go and have a very solid car. And very like light solid, so that there's not gonna be any actual light going through the actual car. Because if you had somewhat of like holy geometry, it's gonna be like kind of weird because the lights would actually like leak through the car, and you don't want that. You basically want a solid geometric mesh on the car. And you can just see where this does take a little bit of time and a little bit of editing to basically get everything proper and laid out the way that we need. And it's mainly just a lot of vertex editing. And now just trying to close all this stuff up and basically weld verts together. It takes a little bit of time, and if you've laid out your geometry right, you shouldn't necessarily have a problem doing it. And now you can see where the under portion of the car is, really starting to come together and really starting to become a very solid model. And closing these up, I'll just simply say it just, if you lay out everything properly and basically have the right geometric layout and the right edge flow, you shouldn't have too much of a problem, closing all this stuff off. It's just, basically going to be snapping verts together. And if you do it right, you should pretty much be able to do it within a few minutes, and it's not necessarily that difficult of a job to go ahead and do. It's just, in terms of, you just have to make sure that you basically lay everything out properly and have all the edge flow correct, and then you can just basically merge verts together and, if you have to, shape verts later. And there we go.